MSK Púchov are a Slovakian football team located in the northwest of the country. When they were formed in 1920, the team were in the heart of Czechoslovakia, but became Slovakian when the two countries split in two in 1993. The team has gone by many names in their 105-year history. FM24 mistakenly calls them by one of their old names, FK Matador Púchov. This is probably because the most memorable moment in the club's history came in 2003, where footballing giants Barcelona visited the town in the early rounds of the UEFA Cup, with stars such as Ronaldinho, Xavi and Luis Enrique. They managed to miraculously hold them to a 1-1 draw by scoring in the dying embers of the game before being completely dismantled in the reverse fixture 8-0. The team dropped the name of Matador from their name in 2007, as this was part of a sponsorship deal involving a tyre company which expired in the same year. With the team now languishing down in the Slovakian second tier, can we turn things around and make footballing titans return for the people of Púchov? Welcome to Club 2 of the European Journeyman. Welcome in. I've just been having a look around Púchov on Street View, and it doesn't look that dissimilar to DayZ. If the intro is anything to go by, I'm probably wearing the wrong shirt, but we can try and schmooze over the fans anyway. On screen now is a little slideshow of the MSK Stadion that holds 6,000, so you get an idea of the size of club we're dealing with. It's taken us about 21 hours to drive here from Abergavenny, so hopefully it's worth it. We've been given a generous £220 a week part-time contract at Púchov. That's €254 a week, or just over £1,000 a month. And for that, I found this little modest apartment, little shed looking thing. It has a shower, it has a room with nothing in it, and it has a kitchen, or it even has a washing machine. What more could you possibly want? And a drain. Pfft, what a bargain. It has a monthly rate of €480, which gives us €520 to spend on whatever we want, probably food. The stadium's down here, and that's where the apartment is. So it's just a little walk down to the stadium for match days, which is nice. This is the team at the moment. We have a lot of players who aren't happy. I'm going to go through and have discussions with them and see what we come back with. I'm probably going to choose the option of you can go, but it has to be for the right price for a lot of things, because as mentioned in the last episode, the club is in quite a lot of debt, and one of our jobs is to repair the club's financial damage. Here's a look at the kits that I've made in Kit Basher. I've fixed the colour difference where the white kit was showing as the home kit and the red and white stripe kit was shown as the away kit, but I can't correct the team name, unfortunately. It's going to have to stay as Matador Púchov, but it's a pretty cool name, so it's not the end of the world. It says our stadium name's just called Púchov, but we've seen from before that it's not, so if there's any interest in me learning how to change that, I will do. But let's say hello to everyone. I'd like to introduce myself as your new manager. Any questions, let me know. I'd like to talk about the League 2 aims. I think the board said mid-table, but I would say, I'm going to say top half, and they're happy with that. And there's nothing else I'd like to talk about for now. That went pretty well, and we're going to get into all of these conversations now, and I'll come back with the result of that. And after all that, we've agreed fees for everybody apart from two. The Samuel Vavrus, the goalkeeper, who's apparently a Slovakian Premier League division quality player. He wanted to leave for just like 10,000, so I said no. And the squad aren't angry at me yet about that one, but they are about the other one. Dusan Kucharsik, he wanted to leave for about £10,000, but I said no. But the squad don't seem happy with me for that one. Unless, does that mean they like me? I can never tell. Yeah, unhappy with his manager's treatment. So when the squad come and see me about that one, I'm just going to say, okay, fine, he can go. Because it wasn't that much money. But I'd rather keep a hold of this guy if I can. He's got 2 years on his contract, £400 a week. Oh, another thing regarding finances. We're currently spending £12,000 a week or thereabouts on wages, and we have to get it down to half that for next season. £6,000 wage budget for this coming year. So assuming we fill our bench and starting 11, that's 20 players because we have 9 on the bench in the upcoming season. That'll be £300 per player on average, and this goalkeeper's getting 400, but he'll be a star player. So hopefully we can convince him to stay, but the rest I'm not that bothered about leaving. Managerial support's not looking the greatest there, so we need to try and win them over pretty quickly. Otherwise we're going to lose the dressing room. We have pretty much a full complement of staff other than a couple of scouts, so I'm going to place an advert out for them and a head of youth development. But on the whole, I'm not too disappointed with the coaching setup. We have 2 assistant managers though, Thomas Belic and Patrick Minar. He looks like he's about 12, even though he's 29. And Thomas Belic seems like he's had more of an interesting career. So I think we're going to say goodbye to Patrick Minar because we don't need both. This is what the youth team looks like. Not a load of talent. These 2 players might come into the first team depending on what happens over the summer, but the rest might be released depending on contracts. Since the relegation of the club was confirmed about a month ago, the club seems to have turned semi-professional, but a lot of these players are still on full-time contracts, so I'm not really sure how that's going to affect things, but it means they'll probably want to leave, I think. These are the promises I have in place at the moment. The only 3 players that are going to get us serious-ish money. Adrian Kopikar going for £300,000. He's a midfielder who's supposedly a Slovakian Premier League player. Peter Kolsar, he can play on the left wing centrally or a bit on the right-ish. He'll be going out for 210 if we get a bid for that amount. And Palabo Jack, a very good centre midfielder that I like the look of, but if we get a bid of £160,000 or more, he's going to be off. It looks like the turnaround between the end of the season and the start of next season is going to be pretty quick. The season starts at the end of July and we're at the end of June at the moment, so it looks like we've got a month to try and sort out some sort of team. If we do sell those 3 players specifically that I'm looking at, we'll probably clear a lot of this overdraft and it'll bring the wage budget down to something more manageable. If we look at the wages in the squad, this half of the squad look like they're above that £300 a week threshold we're looking at, so a lot of them are going to have to move on, I think, especially the ones on £700 at the top here. Lubinsky is a good tier 2 player, but not really worth the £700 a week we're paying him. It looks like there's quite a lot of active relegation release clauses in the squad that Palabo Jack has had his activated, and it looks like there's going to be a few more going to go out. Dusan Kucharsic, not going to be bothering learning his name because I think he's off. He's got an active relegation release clause of £6,000, so I guess we're just going to have to accept that. We've got a few players that'll be leaving the club now that'll release some of the wage budget, which would be nice, and I might look to move on any of these youngsters. Another active relegation release clause is that goalkeeper Vavros. He's got an active relegation release clause of £43,000. I didn't notice that before when I was trying to agree fees for everybody, so it seems like we're a bit powerless to let all these players leave, but we're going to have to do a rebuild eventually, so it might as well be now. I was having a look at the state of the quality of the squad, and they've had an unexpected promotion a few seasons ago but managed to avoid relegation last year, but this year it looked like they were at 1,000 to 1 on the pre-season odds. They've only just barely been relegated, so I don't think it's that much of a stretch to assume that we'll be bouncing back up next season. It depends on this rebuild, I think. On next season then, the match day rules don't look too crazy. The only concerning ones are no more than 5 non-EU players in the squad, which is pretty easy to follow, and there must be 1 under-21 Slovak player in the starting 11. I think the strategy this transfer window is just going to be getting as many players out as we can whilst getting as many players in after those players have come out as well, because when we're going to go and try and sign players, we're not going to be able to offer them anything because we're so far over the wage budget. We've got it down to 9,000 now, so about halfway there. We've got it down to 9,000 thanks to all these top division relegation wage drop clauses in pretty much everybody's contract, so thank God we got that in place. Otherwise we'd be truly knackered. It's the 1st of July and it looks like we've got 4 players coming in on pre-arranged transfers. This was not me. This was arranged before I joined. We have Hugo Pavek, a centre-back who is on £100 a week. He's a good League 2 player. Tadeusz Hajowski, he is a centre defensive midfielder on £100 a week. And again, a decent League 2 player, that's not bad. Daniel Mikolajewski, he is a defender or defensive midfielder on £250 a week, so below that £300 a week goal. A good League 2 player. Not bad, you know. These aren't too bad signings. I was just worried that the wages were going to be too high. And a striker, Emeka, he is on £210 a week and is a good League 2 player. Quite quick, pretty big, not massively big, same height as me. And not bad, honestly. I can work with this guy. He's been at Tensin, another Slovakian team, and he was in the Premier League last season where he scored 2 goals in 1 start and 9 sub appearances. The year before he was in the league we're going into and he scored 7 in 19. So a decent player for this level. So it's getting a bit confusing as to who we have. I'm going to recall this guy, Jakub Michlic, because he looks like a fairly good midfielder. And if we don't use him, we'll try and sell him. I just try and get all the players who want to leave, and then we can reassess the squad after that. But hopefully they move on soon. We've got 4 players on the way out at the moment, and maybe I'll try and offer some of these out so that they get out the door sooner rather than later. At the moment we're sitting £3,500 over the wage budget, a solid 50% over, and hopefully we'll get that down ASAP. It might be getting a bit confusing with the players that are leaving for me, but I'm going to try and get as many trials in as we can so that once they do leave, we'll have a good idea of how good the players that we can get are. Will Jaskalainen would have been a fun one, but he doesn't want to come to us. We're going to add him to the shortlist and see if he changes his mind in a bit. Son of Jussi Jaskalainen, the former Bolton goalkeeper from the Premier League. Now this is promising. Frank Bahi, a centre-back or left-back who is looking like he's going to be a very good player for this level, is only wanting £230 per week. We can't give him it now, but maybe we can after some of the players have left. I'm trying to force out Simon Lipinski of the club because he's earning £525 a week, but it doesn't look like he wants to go. Maybe on loan. I offered him out and he didn't want to go, and we had a conversation and he said he was going to stay. Hopefully I can annoy him enough to leave. And I've annoyed him enough not to leave completely, but to at least go out on loan, and hopefully we can convince the team coming in for him to take all of his wages, because that's all I really care about. Optional future fee of £0. I mean, fine. You can have that. Simon Lipinski, it looks like he's off to... Simon Lipinski looks like he's off back to the Slovakian Premier League, so probably a good thing that I annoyed him, for his sake anyway. And the first proper sale out the door, Ipalibo Jack for £160,000 with his release clause. He's gone to play in the top division of Hungary. We're going to move all that transfer budget into the wage budget, and we are just £3,000 over now. We only have a 5% we only have 5% of transfer revenue retained. The overall balance is slowly getting there. Slowly does it. It looks like British players are being treated as foreign because of obviously Britain not being in the EU anymore. So this Scottish, English and Welsh player probably won't be brought in because we only have 5 foreign player slots, but we'll see. Something definitely to consider. These players are taking their time getting out the door. We've only got 19 days until the start of the new season and only 1 proper departure. It's going to be tight getting a squad assembled for the starting day. That's 1 out the door at least. The keeper Vavrus has gone off to Sweden. That's a new team name that I wasn't aware of. Goal FC, French team by the look of it. Grand Ouest Association Lyonnaise. And another one out the door, Mario Morava, centre back who didn't want to be here. Another £200 off the wage bill. He goes back to the Slovakian Premier League with that other winger as well. If he's gone, did he go? He's not gone yet. But he'll be going to the same team if he does. And he does, that's confirmation. Another one out the door. I don't think we're going to get bids for Adrian Kopikar and Peter Kolsar, which I'm not too disappointed with because they are pretty good players for this level. It doesn't look like teams want to come in for the asking price that we've agreed on, so it looks like these are going to be staying. Kopikar is going to be our top earner with $475, but I think it's probably worth it. He's a good centre defensive mid or centre mid. I spoke too soon. This team, who have taken two of our players already, came in with a loan offer, and I negotiated with a £300,000 locked in fee, and they've accepted, so it looks like Kopikar will be off after all. Yet another one out the door, which means we're just £200 a week away from getting the wage budget under control. We actually were able to offer a few contracts out, and we offered a contract to Bilali Diallo, a left back or right back, but it looks like he's gone to Belgium instead. We offered him a pretty similar amount of money as what they did, but it wasn't to be. Another one out the door, Bartosz Kazplak, and that means after we click continue that we are below the wage budget. We did it, everybody. Woo! That was hard. We're still £300,000 in the red, but we're looking a lot better off than we did. It actually means we can get a few players in. I've had a few nibbles at players, but I'm guessing they're going to go to other teams. We've got this guy coming in as the head of youth development. Heartbreak, a Slovakian defender, but there's a few teams in for. I did one other team in for him. Hopefully we get him, but I don't know if we will. And this other Slovakian right winger or centre attacking midfielder, Olejnik. He might come in, we'll see. And then these two are coming in as scouts, hopefully. Since I've come in, we've had 10 departures and 4 have arrived, but they were the pre-arranged transfers that I didn't do. 3 were from the same team, interestingly. And we have 3 more potentially out the door soon. We can just about cobble together a team, but it's looking very bare bones at the moment. We need a few players in, ideally in the next week before the season starts. We have a couple of talents down in the youth academy, these 3 specifically, and maybe these 4 as well. They can step up in the first team if we need to, but they're not amazing, so ideally we'd like to keep them down here. We'll see what happens. We might have to have them in for the first few games of the season, or at least in the squad, but then slowly drop them back into the academy as and when senior players come in, but we'll see what happens. Another 2 out the door, Kucharsic, the centre-back, and Fedici, the winger. He was on too much money, he was on £325 a week, and he was whinging, so he's gone, which means we are it's got £750 to spare, and if Kopikar goes as well for his £300,000 transfer fee, that'll put us in a very good position indeed. As suspected, we didn't get that Slovakian centre-back, Heartbreak. He's gone to a team in Croatia. And here is confirmation of Kopikar's transfer to Zlate Moravice. They are the team who've taken a fair few of our players so far. Mavra and Lipinski have gone there as well. This really does put a dent in the overdraft. This basically clears the overdraft. So we've gone from negative £675,000 to negative £24,000. With that transfer and a few others, we've made £600,000 in transfers alone, spending none. Financial guru, me. Love it. We're going to go with Peter Kolsar as the captain, even though he does want to leave. I don't think he's going to, because people don't want to pay his price tag. And the new boy that was brought in the summer, not by me, but by somebody, Daniel Mikolajewski. I'm going to double check that pronunciation soon. But he's our starting centre-back and vice captain. And there's confirmation of us repairing the club's financial damage. Marek obviously delighted with me. Look at his little face. Absolutely over the moon. And we've actually made a signing, but it's a non-contract signing. But you know what I feel like about non-contracts at the moment. Curtis Thompson comes in as a defensive midfielder. I haven't really scouted him because he's on a non-contract, but we were pretty desperate in that department. So if we do bring somebody else in, Curtis Thompson will be shipped out. He will count as one of our foreign players because of Nigel Farage. He's more suited to being a ball wing midfielder more than a deep line playmaker, I think. But there's not much in it. He'll be a defensive midfielder anyway. He's been playing at Grimsby the last few years and a solid League 2, League 1 player. He's 32 now, so he's getting on a bit, but he'll do for now. A bit of a strange transfer, really, if you look at his career. Stalwart in the English Football League and then moves to the second tier of Slovakia, but ayo, we're desperate, so we'll take him. I've been neglecting training tactics over the summer because I've been so concentrated on transfers, but I've just put in a 4-3-3 and a 4-2-3-1, pretty standard stuff. I'll probably reassess all that once we get a few more players in, and we'll make a formation that highlights our strengths. Our first proper signing, Samuel Kozlovsky. Samuel Kozlovsky, a left back, Slovakian left back, who's been playing at the team that we signed our other 3 players off in the summer. There's a lot of value in Slovakian players. It makes sense, really. I mean, you're not going to be wanting to move to the other side of the world if you're an English player for £200 a week. He's going to be a wing back on attack, I think, by the looks of him. Maybe a full back on support. He can play left back, left wing back, or left wing. He's on £240 a week, so it fits into our wage structure model. And overall, just a very solid signing. Very happy with him. He fills in the hole that I said that we had on the left side of defence. So Simko can move over to the right back position. Kaufman can drop to the bench. And Samuel Kozlovsky can move into the left side of defence. We're looking pretty good as a whole for the starting 11. Obviously, we're lacking a bit of quality, but we've been so desperate to get rid of players that we've had a bit of trouble getting players in. But now's the time to do that. Stanislav Olejnik, the second one in. He's a right winger or centre attacking mid. Or he can play up front as well. Another Slovakian on £180 a week. A lot of value in Slovakian players. I want a third one. Mikhail Sula, another non-contracted player. We just needed another goalkeeper in case our starting goalkeeper got injured. Not 100% sold on our starting goalkeeper at the moment, but he's the best one I've found so far. I do have a bid in, actually, for this man, Adam Hrdina. He looks pretty good, another Slovakian, because there's value in Slovakia. He's been offered a contract under £300 a week, so hopefully we get him in the next few days, because the start of the season is fast approaching. I've had all these players in on trial, but all these foreigners want far too much money. For example, Gonzalo Pereira, let's see what he wants. £1,000 a week. That's 3 players worth of wage budget on one. We can't really afford that. Musa Baraji, let's see how much he wants. Oh, £450 a week. We might be able to swing that one. And he's a centre defensive mid. I'm just going to try. I could even go over the wage budget a little bit for a player of his quality. 350? 375 I can probably make work. So hopefully we get him. I'm going to go through this whole list of players on trial and see who we can realistically sign with the 5 foreign player rule in mind. Foreign as in non-European. And then the ones that are asking too much money we're just going to get rid of, so we have a better idea of how close we are to having a complete squad. And that goalkeeper I was after has decided to join for £250 a week. Adam Hrdina. He's been at it up and down Slovakia. He came through at Slovan Bratislava on the whole after he's been poached by the look of it. He's been playing for the B team most recently and then dropped down into the lower divisions. He looks solid, better than anything we've got, so happy with that. And here we are on the first day of the season against Tatran Prešov, which will be the start of the next episode. In summary, we've had 13 outs and 9 ins. We have a possible 5 more joining us and 1 leaving. The goalkeeper that we had before we signed the new guy said that he wanted to leave, so I'm going to let him leave because we have 4 goalkeepers at the club at the moment, and he doesn't stand out against the other 2 backups. I have deals agreed with this guy, Mate Solozgai and Tomislav Krizmanic, but there's more pressing matters in the squad at the moment. I'd rather sign Musa Baraji or Franco Sosa, and if we do accept these signings, I don't think we'll have enough in the wage budget to get the other ones over the line. But this is how the squad looks at the moment. We have Hrdina in goal, new boy that we just signed, he's on £250 a week. We have another new boy, Kozlovsky, on the left back. Another new boy who I didn't sign but was pre-arranged to come in before I joined, Milivjuski. We have Kostkowski, a 33-year-old Polish defender to partner the other Polish defender on the back line, and a player called Simpko, who was already here when I arrived at right back. He played 14 times for the team last season and looks fairly decent. Thompson in, at least temporarily, at centre defensive mid, partnering a player called Hajovsky, another player that was here when I signed. He might have just come in actually. I think he's just come in over the summer, one of those pre-arranged transfers. Kolsar, who might leave, he's got a fee agreed with me to leave, but he's one of our best players, so I hope he doesn't. Patrick Lacko in the centre of the pitch, centre attacking midfielder. He played 15 times in the league above last season for us. Another new boy that I brought in, Olejnik, on the right wing. He can also play centrally, so if another right winger comes in, he could move inside, but he has been playing in the lower divisions and looks fairly good. And finally up front, Emeka. He is a striker who has been playing in the second and first divisions of Slovakia. He's Nigerian, he's fairly good, and he's our number 9. The bench is looking fairly strong. I've called up Jakub Ferenik from the youth academy to sit on the bench for now. We have a bit of a hole in the centre defensive mid, so I'm really hoping Musa Baraji does come in. I don't think there's any other teams in for him at the moment. No, there isn't. So I feel like he'll probably be in for the second game of the next episode if he does come in. But ideally what we need now is 2 starting centre defensive midfielders, a new left back to Deputy Kozlovsky, and maybe a new striker to come on over the top of Emeka. But we'll see how he gets on. Vestanici is another option we have up front. He's been at the club last season, but he didn't score at all last season, so maybe not who you want up front, but he doesn't look too far off Emeka. If we compare the two, they're pretty similar, but Emeka is better aerially. He's got much better jumping reach. But I think it's going to be between them two for the starting position up front. All in all, pretty happy with that transfer window. I'm pretty familiar with the squad now. And we'll be back for tomorrow's episode against Tatran Prešov. I hope you enjoyed. Please like the video. Please watch another one. Please subscribe. Hope to see you tomorrow. I'll be there. Hope you will be too. Bye. Bye bye. Ciao ciao.